Hello, everyone. My name is Maria Maun, and I am a small grains pathologist at Oklahoma State University in the Department of Entomology and Plant Pathology. For this presentation, I'm going to give an overview on the weed diseases in Oklahoma in 2022, and then on the different management strategies. Starting with weed diseases in Oklahoma in 2022, last year, we had a severe drought, and that reduced the incidence and severity of many foliar diseases highlighted here in green. The main disease that we saw last year were wheat streak mosaic virus, barley yellow dwarf virus, and root rot diseases. And some diseases, they occurred in low or moderate incidence and severity, like powdery mildew, high plains, and common band and stinging smuts. These weed disease updates can be found on Oklahoma Extension website for pest alerts shown in here, and also on my wheat blog, OSU Wheat Pathology. Also, these updates are sent by email to wheat growers and extension educators. So if you are not in that listserv and you would like to be included, please contact me and I will make sure to add you to the listserv. So in April, May, we had mainly two diseases, barley yellow dwarf and wheat streak mosaic virus. Barley yellow dwarf symptoms is shown here by yellow to purple discoloration that starts on the leaf tip going down to the base of the leaf. And this virus is transferred by cereal aphids. Wheat streak mosaic virus is shown here by this elongated yellow stripe, and this disease is transmitted by weed kernel mites. This is used to be a disease of concern in the Panhandle area. However, this year we saw it in multiple counties in central and western Oklahoma, where most of the wheat is produced in the state. Then in May, we had severe Fusarium root, crown, and foot rots. This is a disease known to be of dry land. It is early in the season. We can see a poor stand, but this disease is more obvious toward the end of the season because it is easy to spot these white heads in the field with low to no seed set. And in some cases, we can see this pink discoloration on the lower stem, which represent the fungus colonization. Common root rots is caused by other fungi that are also favored by drought conditions. The disease is shown here by this poor root system and also discolored roots. Early in the season, we can see this poor stand and also white head late in the season, as shown for Fusarium root rots. Drought reduced the incidence and severity of many fungal foliar diseases shown in here. Leaf rust and stripe rust, they used to be the most important diseases in Oklahoma. Not so far. In 2021, we had severe leaf rust and stripe rust, and these two diseases were the most important diseases, with leaf rust causing around 3% of yield loss and stripe rust 5% of yield loss in Oklahoma. Leaf spotting diseases, spot blotch, septoria, and tan spot, they were present in a few fields, but only late in May. So that was basically late in the season to cause any severe damage. And these diseases, mainly for the septoria and the tan spot, I saw them in fields like in Kay and Ogmulke County, but not in western Oklahoma. And that's because this region had substantial rain in May. Powdery mildew was the main disease that I observed in my foliar fungicide trial in still water. So basically, this disease, it doesn't require too much moisture like the leaf spotting diseases, but basically some moisture to help the disease onset, and then wind for the disease to spread. And wind is very common in Oklahoma. Coming to the disease management, we'll start with cultural control, going to resistant varieties, and then chemical control. Here I am showing you the plant disease triangle. For a disease to occur, we need a pathogen causing a disease, a susceptible host, and conducive environments. We can do much in terms of the environment, but we can grow a resistant variety to the pathogen, and also we can reduce the pathogen inoculum by applying fungicides or pesticides in general, and also by using cultural practices like residue management and planting, delaying planting dates, etc., as we will discuss in future slides. So I would like to think about disease management as an integrated approach where multiple components play a role in reducing the disease and below an economical threshold. So starting with regulatory, so if the disease is not present in our area, we need to apply quarantine and inspections at the borders. This applies to weed diseases like kernel band, that we don't have it in Oklahoma, or wheat blast, that is a very dangerous disease in Asia. And then in Africa, we had braces of stem rust pathogen that are very dangerous to wheat production. And physical management, this is by using temperature and radiation to kill the pathogen. And biological, which is to use an organism to control a pathogen. And for this presentation, I am going to focus mainly on cultural, genetic, and chemical control. Starting with cultural practices, in Oklahoma, we are in a low and no-till system. The system has its advantages. However, we have to keep in mind that this system can increase the inoculum of some diseases like tan spot and septoria, as shown by these arrows, these resting bodies on the straw that can serve as a primary inoculum for the coming season. We also need to control volunteer weed and other weeds. So by destroying volunteer weed, we can reduce the population of mites and aphids, and that will consequently reduce viruses like barley yellow dwarf, wheat streak mosaic virus, the high plains virus, triticum mosaic virus. And in a low to no-till system, and as it is in Oklahoma, we can use herbicide to destroy volunteer weed and other weeds. Planting date, delaying planting date can help managing some diseases like barley yellow dwarf, wheat streak mosaic virus, high plains, and triticum mosaic. And that is because of breaking what we call the green bridge to reduce the population of aphids and the termites. So usually it is recommended to plant after October 1st in northern Oklahoma and after October 15 in southern Oklahoma. But here in Oklahoma, most of the growers, they want to plant early because we are in Oklahoma, we have a dual purpose wheat where we use wheat for forage and then for grain production. Cultural practices, the second or the third option is crop rotation. This can be of use to reduce the risk of diseases like Fusarium headlight, tan spot, and septoria, and by reducing the inoculum in the field. But we have to keep in mind that some pathogens are dispersed by wind. So if they are present in neighboring fields, then we may have those transported to fields where crop rotation is used, and that limits the benefit of crop rotation. One thing to keep in mind while when rotating wheat behind corn is the increase of wheat streak mosaic, high plains, and Fusarium headline. And this is because corn can also can be a niche for the wheat corn mites that transmits wheat streak mosaic virus and high plains virus, and also the Fusarium graminearum pathogen that causes the scab or the Fusarium head blight in wheat can also cause Gibberella in rotting corn. I believe the first line of protection for growers is to select a disease-resistant variety. Information on the OGI variety, the Oklahoma genetics variety, can be present. You can find it on the wheat okstate.edu website. This information also can be found on fact sheets on OSU Extension, and this information is usually shared with growers and other extension professionals during the field days. As part of the OSU wheat improvement team, I work toward helping the breeding program to release disease-resistant varieties, and that is by doing greenhouse evaluations to different diseases like leaf rust, powdery mildew, tan spot, and spot blotch. Last season, we had around 28,000 single plant evaluation for these diseases. So here I'm showing you the greenhouse where we do this evaluation. This is our humidity chamber that is attached to a humidifier to basically keep or to provide a conducive environment for the disease onset during the first maybe 1 day after disease or after pathogen inoculation, and then we take out the plants in the greenhouse and leave them until they are ready for disease evaluation. And that data is given to the breeders and help him select for resistant breeding lines to advance in the breeding pipeline. We also do field evaluations. Basically, we have a wheat soil-borne mosaic and wheat spindle streak mosaic virus nursery in still water. So we do testing of OGI or OSU breeding lines, and also lines that we received from other states in the US. And we have barley yellow dwarf virus nursery shown in here. We have peat as a susceptible check, and that is used here as the middle row in each plot. And then we as the other diseases appears like powdery mildew, stripe rust, leaf rust, spot blotch, and septoria, we may also do the evaluation, whether it's in the barley yellow dwarf nursery or in the wheat soil-borne mosaic and wheat spindle streak mosaic virus nursery. Last season, I added, or this fall, I added 2 nursery, one for leaf rust in Stillwater and the other one for stripe rust in Chickasha, and that includes breeding lines from OSU as well as lines and cultivars from other states. We also have spot blotch. Oh, sorry, that's it. Here, applying or using molecular markers to facilitate breeding for disease resistance. As I mentioned earlier, in some cases, we don't have high disease pressure that limit our ability to do selection. But in this case, molecular markers can be of use, and that's because by relying on DNA, we can and molecular markers that are linked to resistant genes, we can select resistant varieties or resistant breeding lines in the breeding pipeline. Chemical control, we have seed treatments to facilitate stand establishment, and also foliar fungicides applied during the season. So seed treatments can control diseases like common bands and smuts. It can control fall foliar diseases. It improves the stand by reducing seedling and root rots, and control aphids that transmit barley yellow dwarf. Here I am showing you a graph that is coming from North Dakota State University, where they have 135 seed treatments. So each line in here corresponds to a seed treatment coming from 30 different trials. And on the y-axis, you have the difference compared to the non-treated control. So you can see that in most of the seed treatments, we have increase in stand compared to the non-treated control. And we had an average of 8.2% increase in stand that was translated by 4.3% increase in yield. Here I am showing you a table of the different seed treatment options that can be done in wheat to control these different diseases and pests. So you can either have only a fungicide, or maybe a fungicide plus an insecticide, if you're or an insecticide if you are planning to control barley yellow dwarf, for example. And if you are planning to, for example, control for common bands and barley yellow dwarf at the same time, so you can have really a combined seed treatment where you can have fungicide plus an insecticide. These are just example. You can have the complete table by going to Oklahoma State University Extension Asian handbooks, and you can have these different seed treatment options that you can use. Foliar fungicides, they protect the existing yield potential. We have 3 growth stages where we can apply fungicides, whether it is adjointing, or it's called also force hollow stem, flag leaf, and antithesis. And these are shown on this Efficacy scale, and basically the different stages, stage 9 for the flag leaf, and 10.5 for the flowering. Before a fungicide application is made, we need to think about the disease level based on scouting, whether the environments are conducive for the disease by looking at the weather forecast, and whether we are growing a resistant or a susceptible variety. The optimum period of fungicide application is usually around flag leaf to flowering. Flag leaf is the main plant part that provides the nutrients to the head, and flowering is like in cases where, for example, Fusarium head blight, where the at flowering stage is the susceptible stage for the disease onset. We should apply fungicide before the disease is severe in our field, because again, foliar fungicide, they can protect only the existing yield potential. Here in this table, I am showing you why late fungicide application is not of help. So here is an example for leaf rust and the severity on the flag leaf that is going from 10 to 100%. And here the yield loss caused by this disease severity at the different time stages: flowering, milk, soft duff, and hard duff. So here you can see that the most damaging infections are the early infections. So basically applying after flowering stage is not going to help much. And also we have to think about the harvest restriction for fungicides. So based on 20 years of fungicide trials, we had an average increase in yield of 10% from using fungicide. So this is fungicide application is justified, especially if we have high disease pressure, if we or we have a high disease risk. Also, if we if the wheat prices are high, and this can be of use, and and of course if we are growing a susceptible variety. So we need to have a thorough coverage so that we can have an optimum effectiveness, and we need to apply on time. We don't want to delay applications if we have a high risk of disease. Here I am showing you two different ways of fungicide application, whether it's aerial or ground application. We don't have really much difference in terms of effectiveness between these two methods, but I think aerial application can be faster. Also, in cases where we have rain and it is difficult to get in the field because it's wet, we can use aerial application. Also, it can reduce damage caused by the tractor tire. In this table, I'm showing you the fungicide efficacy for controlling different weed diseases. So we have the three different classes of fungicide: strobilurins, triazoles, and mixed mode of actions. Here are the different products, the active ingredient, and they recommend the rate. And here is their efficacy in controlling powdery mildew, Staganospora, leaf and bloom blotch, Septoria, tan spots, parsley frost, stem rust, and head scab, which is Fusarium head blight. And the last column is harvest restriction. So as you can see, for most of these products, they are good in controlling foliar diseases, except for head scab or Fusarium head blight, where most of these products are not labeled. Also, we have to look at the harvest restriction for the products, and that's usually at Efficacy stage 10.5, and in some cases 10.5.4, which is basically 30 to 35 days before harvest. But we should always keep in mind to read carefully the labels to get the most up-to-date information on fungicide application. With that, I come to the end of this presentation. Feel free to ask any questions that you may have. And here is my contact information if you want to contact me for any questions or request. Thank you.